Oh, that's me. What the heck
Were
are
you?
you saying?
No. I'm at like, are we? Do we need to redo this?
Keep it in. I'll figure it out. I'll edit on this if
Okay.
unnecessary.
Uh,
This is a fluid episode. Pun intended. Not intended.
mm,
Fluid. Hello, everyone, and welcome back. This is Joe, aka Joe the Wellness Curator, and this is Obsidian Mindset Podcast, where we are redefining what wellness means to you. Welcome back to another week. I am so excited for y'all to be here. So this episode, it is an episode of What the Health. We are talking about juicing and sweating, all the fluids, as you can tell from the cold call opening. I am really excited for this episode. You know, we were able to dive into some things, try out juicing, talk about our experience with juicing, also about sweating, about a nice little Twitter thread we found out about people Botoxing certain body parts to not sweat as much. I had no clue. So we get to dive into a little bit about that as well. So, a few housekeeping notes before we start the episode. We are firstly our book club, New Growth Book Club, on March 25th. We are going to be discussing Hunger by Roxane Gay. That book is so compelling and a little bit triggering, so watch out for the trigger warnings. But it's been really good to read. I even had to bring it up during therapy this week. But overall, I'm really excited to speak to everyone about it and really get to dive deep with some of the people that came last time and the new folks that are coming for this time. We are going to be discussing on March 25th, and the Eventbrite is in the notes, so you can just sign up. This is just so we can have a head count and make sure that we are starting when everyone is there. Second up, Obsidian is doing some big things for March. On March 29th, that's a Wednesday at 7 o'clock, we are having a manifestation happy hour. So the event is called Manifesting Your Vision Happy Hour. So basically, the purpose of this happy hour is one, to make it very chill, bring a beverage, whether that's water, glass of wine, whatever you feel necessary. And we really want to get down to what manifesting is. We want to talk about what it looks like to center your joy and your vision, talking about dreaming big, and just making sure that it's aligning, making sure your vision, your dreams, and all your decisions in between align with not only who you are, but as I said, your joy and other internal factors. I'm really excited to really kick off this event with my boy Miller. So this is Obsidian Wellness Club and a Caton Wellness collaboration. This should be one of many series that we talk about manifestation. For Obsidian Wellness Club, this is about the inner body pillar, right? So there's 4 pillars at Obsidian Wellness Club. We have our inner body, our outer body, our growth mindset, and our community mindset. So we get to tackle on our inner body and what's going on inside that brain. So at this event, you can really think about, or you can expect us talking about visions and goals, talking about some examples, talking about some things that are going to get in the way, because you can't just make this sound all sugar, sunshine, and rainbows. There are things that might go wrong, but it's all about making sure you're well prepared when that happens and how to shift your mindset and keep it moving. So really excited to talk about all that. I love talking about manifestation and goals and visions. I love talking about my own journey around that. And as any journey, is still going on. So really excited to talk to Miller about that with all of y'all. That is all I have at the moment. There's some other big things coming up, but I'm gonna keep y'all posted as usual. So let's dive in and enjoy the show. Hi, Evan. How you doing?
I am okay. I'm well. How are you?
Good. How's your weekend been?
I've had a interesting and rough week, but near the end of it, it's things have gotten better and have kind of slowed down. So I'm content for now.
I like the duality. I'm glad you
Yeah.
took some time out for yourself as well.
Yes. How about for you?
We are now nearing the end of the weekend, but that means back to work. But
Mhm.
I had a very nice, relaxing time this weekend. And then today, I went to the gym. Then I did some grocery shopping and laundry. So it was a little bit of both,
Okay.
relaxing and adulting. Uh,
Good. Good. We're ending the end of the week. and the end of the month.
Yeah. January just flew by.
It did.
It said, we got to go. I
And
still
it's
haven't gotten
leaving.
snow.
Oh, well, that's good.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
so. We'll see. We'll see when that first snow comes, how good it is. All right. So, what are we talking about today? On What the Health. All right. So, hi, everyone. Thank you for listening to that banter. So, today on What the Health, we're going to talk about juicing. So, out of the survey I did on my page before about what are some things that in wellness that stress you out, that you think are overrated, that you think are fads, that you think are fake, that I don't know. Those are the words I got. But what came out of it was juicing. And I personally have experience with juicing. Evan, do you have personal juice?
I have juiced.
Okay.
I'm not a devoted
I bet.
juicer, but I've juiced.
Okay. So we both have experiences with juicing. So we just want to get into it a little bit more. What are the science behind it and the pros and cons? And then we can talk about our own experience and how we rate it at the end. So that's the usual cadence for our What the Health segment. So I guess what is juicing? Or Evan, when you think of juicing, what is the first thing you think of?
Liquid. Um,
Okay.
I mean, it's very straightforward. No, juice. No, I oftentimes think of just green juicing. That's what
Yep.
definitely comes to mind. You know, that just infamous cup of a bright, vibrant green juice that looks disgusting, but it's
Yep.
supposed to be It's supposed to be healthy for you, right? That's what comes to mind for me. And I mean, and juicing is pretty straightforward. It's the extraction of juice from fruits and vegetables. It's done through there are various processes and tools used to extract the juice from the products. Oftentimes, traditionally, it's done in like a press. So think of like a jackhammer pushing down something, and obviously, things are coming out. But because of technology, we have some very advanced systems to juice
Mm-hmm.
fruits and vegetables. The most common that most people hear about is fast juicing, which is like the centrifuge. So you may see it's probably what you most common think about, especially if you go to some some popular juice bars where they put for instance a carrot inside and they use a pusher and it excretes the juice on one end and it has the pulp on the other end. That's the
Mm-hmm.
most common. And another common form is a cold press. This uses a masticating juicer, which is kind of like, as I was
What?
explaining,
Oh.
masticating, forgive me, a masticating machine.
Oh,
And it's pretty much like a slow churning mechanism to push out the juice. So I like to think of like slowly squeezing like a wash rag or a
yes.
towel, but like mechanically. That's what's happening. There's like it's
Got it.
wringing out the juices of the fruit or the vegetable compared to the machine kind of,
Swirling out and
yeah. So
got it.
those are the most and those again that masticating form is the cold press. And it's often slower and you get it's said to, get some extra things out of the fruit or the vegetable.
Got it. So the cold press usually get more of the minerals compared to, or the minerals and all the benefits compared to the pressed down one.
Yes, the faster juicing. Yes, it is believed that the colder press, because it's less heat involved, right?
Got
Because of the fast one,
it.
it's electronic. It's this wheel. I mean, both are electronic, but it's a it's a oftentimes some type of thing crushing the fruit. It it generates a little bit more heat, so you are getting more benefits from. Well, it's said you get more antioxidants and vitamins and the good things from the slower process than the fast process. Although there are still nutrients in both.
Got it. Because the heat sometimes kills or
Yes,
decreases some of them, like vitamin C.
correct. But also, speaking of things that are missing out, the thing about juicing is it does excrete a large number of those of those minerals and vitamins, but you can't forget the pulp. The excrete, what's being left over also has a lot of particularly fiber and other vitamins as well. So you
Fiber,
are missing
baby.
out of it. So There hasn't been any real scientific research to say juicing has better benefits compared to eating whole fruits and vegetables, but it is a another avenue, another way for you to consume vegetables and greens and fruits and vegetables. It's provide your body with some type of nutrition. Does that make sense?
Got it. Yeah. I think from a young age, I do remember. So for me, I guess the first intro to juicing was I remember my parents are Jamaican. So we
Mhm.
had a lot of carrot juice growing up. So we did have that machine, but we basically only used it for carrot juice. So that was a press down one. And then my mom would use the juice for carrot juice. And then she'd use the pulp or the trash, as she liked to call it, for carrot cake. So either way, I
Mm.
was a happy boy. Um, I think later on, my dad started using it for beets. So he do a beets apple juice. But then I think as I got older, that's when the fad of like green juices came.
Mhm.
And yeah, and then that's where we get into some other things. But we can talk about that a little later. My own personal story with juicing.
Okay.
Uh, but so that was a little bit. So is there any other? So we don't know the benefits technically. Like we do know that it's good, like vegetables in general.
Right.
But we do know that it does get rid of some of the some of the other benefits such as fiber and what comes with it. So we are very pro team fiber over here when
Right.
it comes to it. So is there any forms of juicing that does keep the fiber or any bit of that, or is that a whole different ball game?
So if you want what we did find out is that if you want the biggest benefit, and that's really what how I like to think of it, how do you
Mhm.
get the biggest yield out of an orange or out of a beet or carrot, what have you, to get the biggest benefit, on that highest range is definitely just eating it whole, right?
Mhm.
Whether that's a salad, however you prepare it, eating it whole. And on the opposing end, not to necessarily say it's the least effective, but we have seen like it's not as effective as eating whole is the juicing. Now, somewhere in between that spectrum is blending.
Mm.
So, and the benefit of blending is that um, you're mixing everything together, but they're in smaller portions. So you still get that pulp that has
Mhm.
the fiber, whatever other missing nutrients in there. You still have that inside, but it's just at a microscopic level. So it's not completely extracted from your juice compared to juicing that is completely separate.
Yeah, that's a good point. And when it comes to a lot of these things, I always say this when it comes to, so I put spinach in 98% of my smoothies.
Mhm,
Um, and I think of that as I try to do a one vegetable in every meal that I do.
mhm.
I try to sneak it in. And I always say, like, any way you could get your vegetables in, do it. If it's juicing, go for it.
Yes.
If it's blending it into something else so you don't notice it and you didn't like it as a kid, that's me. Then do it. If you like your salads, because let's know some people don't, go
Mhm,
for it. So I think it's just about finding whichever way works for you. I think when we get into some dangerous territory is the some fads such as the cleanses and juicing and how those doing those for long periods of time because yes you do get a lot of benefit from juicing, so all the antioxidants and vitamins, but your body, there are some things missing that you
mhm.
need, um, that that you need to intake that you might not get from juicing or doing a cleanse for a long period of time.
And I'm glad you mentioned that because, like you said, it is another avenue to consume various fruits and vegetables. Some people don't like textures. It's
Hmm.
all about preference. So, juicing may be a better way to digest something compared to eating it whole, which I completely understand. That's why we have variety. Um, Something that I found interesting that we haven't discussed, though, is what you're juicing as well.
Ooh,
Most people, well, let me say this, most nutritionists have recommended one fruit to two or three vegetables.
got it.
So, for instance, when I stayed in Brooklyn, there was a juice shop right down the block from me that I would frequently go to, and they had a number of juices, but some of them were all fruit. So I had apple, pineapple, kiwi, and then spinach. But when you think about just being conscious about what you're consuming, that is a higher sugar content
That's
depending
a
on if you have
lot of
it in
sugar.
juice as well.
Hmm.
So when you have more, and and then don't get me wrong, an apple, orange, kiwi, pineapple
That
sounds
sounds
delicious.
popping, actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
But if I'm being conscious and I am like using juicing as an additional source of intake for nutrition, I may want to add, like you said, some of those spinaches and kales and such and celeries, what have you. So that's another
To
thing to think
balance it
about as
out.
well.
That's a good point. A nice little ratio, two vegetables to one fruit at minimum. I think
At
that's good.
minimum, that's
Because that's a lot of sugar if you don't. So I think those are the pros, right? So what are some pros? So we said intaking juice, intaking the vegetables and the oxidants and the vitamins that you need. Another way
mhm,
to just intaking it in general.
mhm.
Tasty. Anything else?
Preference,
Preference.
preference.
What are some pros? I think those are it.
I think those are it. Yeah.
Cons for me, I'll say it's either going to be expensive if you're buying it, or
Mhm.
it is messy if you have to clean it up.
Very valid.
Because we'll talk about my experience in juicing later, but it is a lot of cleanup, a
Mhm,
lot of cleanup. And
mhm.
then storing, right? Because you have to figure out how to store it. Because if you don't store, you can't leave it in your fridge for days, right? It's fresh and it needs to be usually be consumed within like 24, 48, 72 hours type of
Actually, sometimes less than that.
because yeah.
If you're juicing, you should consume immediately.
Mm,
And I guess that would be a challenge, a con with it, is that kind of depending on how what you're using, you really can't always dictate how much juice
mhm,
is being extracted. So you have to either have someone else drink it or drink it all, which can be overwhelming. Um, yeah, another con I want to add for you, juicy can be expensive
mhm,
even if you do it at home. So if you are considering juicing and you want to do it at home, some of these devices can be difficult, can be expensive, up to $300 plus. And it is like an investment into your life, but it can be a lot. And some of them can be challenging to store or travel with as well. So that's something to consider as well. That's something to consider as well. In addition, if you go to, a juice, like, so for instance, the one that comes, a store that comes to mind is Pressed. That can be expensive as well, especially if
mhm.
you're doing it consistently because, it's already being prepared. So you're paying for that convenience.
And I think right now we're discussing pros and cons of drinking it like as a supplement,
Mhm,
but you also have to talk about when you hear the term juicing, it usually comes in line with like cleanses. So we're talking about people that have juices for like only only juices for like 5 days or a week or longer.
mhm.
um we're not doctors, we're not
We're not.
medical professionals, but
We're
I'll
not.
say that you just have to be very careful. Talk to your professional, talk to your doctor or your physician, because that is a long time without some of the other benefits, such as you're not getting that much protein, right? You're not getting as
Mhm,
much carbs, especially if you're doing workouts, extensive workouts, if you're on the move a lot, if you're breastfeeding. So there are other things that need to be considered before doing these cleanse. A lot of them claim that you regulate your body or it'll remove toxins, and they list a whole slew of benefits, which may or may not be true. Right. I think it'll be probably personal. I don't know if there's enough studies to
they're
collaborate
not.
that.
They're
Um,
not.
so take it with a grain of salt. It's a fad in the context that we're talking about.
Mhm.
But I think it is important to note that, just be very cautious if that is something that you're going to do. I think with any cleanse, anything that has the word cleanse in it,
Yeah,
just be careful. Anything word diet, anything just be very cautious and talk to your medical professional about it first.
fully agreed. Fully agreed.
So let's talk about, I guess, our personal experience and how I did not talk to my medical professional before doing it.
That doesn't sound advisable.
um, what is your experience with juicing? Whether drinking juice or actually the cleanse?
Right, I've done both. I think my first introduction into juicing was actually during college. Um, Two instances. One, um, I was really into the church at that time. Not anymore, but they, especially in like around Easter time, they will always have like this cleanse, and you should, it's supposed to have you spiritually more connected. So it often eliminated eating a lot, and I tried it, but I was like, I don't have anything to eat. I guess I would resort to juicing. That didn't work out either, so I was like, you know what, this isn't for me. Nonetheless, the second introduction was exactly that, as you were just mentioning, the cleansing. I just had some friends who were health conscious, and we were like, let's do this 2 week juice cleanse.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but when you're in college, you know what you do in college. You're drinking, you're eating unhealthily. So we were like, let's try this cleanse, and it felt good, and it felt like my digestive system did kind of reset, got a little break from eating what is it, cafeteria food,
Mm-hmm.
junk food, all those things. So that's when I was first really introduced to it. But it was definitely something I had to grow accustomed to because I enjoy, like we mentioned, I enjoy the fruits, like the cream. I had like a creamier one. It was cashews and like
Ooh.
almond. Like yeah, it was more. That was the juicing program I was on. It was 6 juices throughout the day, and you drink water in between. But at the end of the day, you got more of your protein. So that's why I had cashews and almond. It was very
Ah.
creamy. It was
Okay.
delicious. But like those green juices were challenging through the
Mm.
day because they green juices don't taste like chicken, so
Mm-mm.
it's hard to enjoy.
So yeah, that agreed. So I explained my first two experiences with juice, not the juicing aspect, but just juice. And then I think when I started my wellness journey, I basically did everything, with when it came to weight loss. So juicing was on the list.
Okay.
I do remember being up on Sunday. I think I did it a couple times. Like a 5-day juice cleanse. So basically there were three types.
Hmm.
There was the beet, apple, and you had that in the morning because supposedly, like if you're working out, that one is the best for just energy in general. So you have that in the
Okay.
morning. Then there was the cucumber, spinach, like the green juice with apple. I think that had apple as well. And apple is always like the sweetener. So it doesn't taste
Yes.
as bad. I also had lemon. And then the one at night, I forget what it was, but it was green as well.
Okay.
Um, what an experience. Well, firstly, also everyone that's not watching, I'm drinking a juice right now. I decided to get a cold press juice,
Right.
100% vegetable juice blend. So I'm gonna tell you what it is. It's an excellent source of vitamin A and potassium. It has 1 1/4 medium beet, 1.5 stalk of celery,
Wow.
almost one half cucumber, almost. So not
Almost.
exactly one half, almost. 2 1/4 carrots. These are very specific. One medium
Yeah.
apple, 1/3 pound of spinach, 2 inches of ginger. I love ginger. And one of the juices did have ginger that I was doing, and then 1/4
Mhm.
lemon.
So
Okay.
they gave you the recipe.
They gave me the recipe.
Understood.
So thank you. Um, so I will say I did that for 3 4 5 days. And like you said, I think so the first day was not bad,
Hmm.
rough,
Hmm.
but not bad.
Hmm.
And mind you, I'm still working out. This is when I was doing pretty extensive workouts. Not bad. By day 3,
Hmm.
I want to curse everyone out. Like, and
Yeah.
I was very irritable. Like,
Yeah.
I specifically remember day 3. And mind you, I'm drinking water. I'm drinking tea. I think you can drink green tea. I just did not want to
Hmm.
talk to anyone. I was also working late, so I just did not want to talk to anyone. Um,
Okay.
and then by day 5, it's like you feel like you're losing the weight, and the water weight. It's pretty much a lot of water weight, pretty much,
Yeah.
that you're losing. You feel a little better. You're like, I can't wait to have my carb tomorrow. But it's just a wave of like emotions as well. It's just like
Okay.
your body's just like, what's going on? Where's the carbs? Where's the protein? Where's everything?
Day one
So
and two are commitment, but day
it
three,
is
that's
day
when it's
3
just
is just like,
plummet.
what is going on? Bring
It's like,
me
what the hell?
Bring me my girl. I mean, food. Shout out Cerebral Paul. So it worked. It did. I want to say it did what it had to do because I think the best. And I think, like you said, it's a good restart. I don't know if I would do
Mhm.
5, but it did like whenever I was having like a binge or I was I was eating a lot or not eating healthy, it was a good way to restart. Because every time I finished the cleanse, I
Hmm.
didn't want to eat unhealthy. I had no cravings for sugar. I had no,
Hmm.
some of
Hmm.
those bigger cravings that usually I'm more prone to get. After the cleanse, it was just like, okay, I could do a salad, right? I don't mind
Hmm.
eating properly. I don't need to eat extra calories. So I get it from that standpoint, but it's just the continuously doing it. I think that is when things get a little shifty and your body's like, no, I need my food.
So what I
Um,
hear you saying is, what I hear you mentioning is the fact that it made you more conscious of the food you were eating.
mhm.
So once you were off the cleanse, you were like, I don't need. I enjoyed having, greens in my body. Let me let me choose a different option compared to whatever, maybe what you typically went to after a long day of work, right?
Yeah, and I don't
Okay.
yeah, that and I also like I don't know if the science behind it. So I don't know if it's like like my body just didn't want the sugar, the high processed sugar anymore. Because now
Hmm.
I'm having the green juice. So I'm gonna step away from that because I don't know. But I
Yeah.
do know that I did not crave like the complex sugar. My sweet tooth is very crazy. So it definitely kind of calmed that and like allowed me to focus
Mm.
on the eating healthy.
Okay.
But like I said, it was a lot of cleanup, a lot of juicing,
Yeah.
a lot of cleanup. By day five, I did it all in one batch. Day five, the juices were, um,
Ah,
like they were drinkable, but mm,
you
um,
drunk them because they were there.
I had to finish
Yeah.
right.
Okay.
But I did use mason jars, so they weren't that bad. So yeah, it was an experience. It was an experience to say the least. Right now, I'll stick to having the occasional juice when I want the taste,
Okay.
but I would not do any cleanses per se, or definitely not 5 days at least.
Okay. I was just going to actually ask you, knowing with your experience and knowing what you do now, would you continue juicing?
I don't know. I think I can get to what I need to do without it. I think I enjoy juices every now and then, but I think in
Hmm.
my normal life, I don't drink that much juice in general. I try to eat
Hmm.
a full vegetable or blend it, like you said. If I do
Hmm.
want that, I'll try to blend it. Um, so yeah, I don't think I would cleanse, do it. I would use it just to enjoy it. What about
Nice.
you?
Nice. I don't see myself doing any juice cleanses either unless like I needed to for whatever
Hmm.
reason. But like generally speaking, I don't see myself doing it. Also, I mean, I'll grab a juice every now and again. Like if I'm in the mood for it. It's not something that I think will fully incorporate into my diet. But like, if I'm out and about and I'm like, oh, again, it's a supplement for me. For instance, like, oh, I haven't eaten. It's 2 p.m. and I haven't really had as a balanced diet. Let me grab something real quick. Let me enjoy, a green juice. I'll do something like that. But I don't think it's something that it won't be the primary source of intake for me in my diet.
Same. This definitely says once open, consume in one day. So, like we said.
Uh, yes, yes.
Okay.
Is it
So
is it good? How does it
it's
taste?
cute.
Yeah.
It's cute.
Something to-
I wouldn't, and I like beet juice. I think it just needs like an extra apple or something. It
or
just
more
needs
ginger.
or more ginger. Hey girl,
You can't go wrong with
this is my
ginger.
dog. Um, do you want some? What's it? She's like staring at me. Okay, so what? So let's rate it. I guess juicing 1 through 4 gems. One is a nah. Four is yes. Give me more.
Who's going first?
Go for it.
I'm going to give juicing. I'm going to give juicing a two.
I was gonna give it a
All
two as well.
Yeah, I give it a two because it is an alternative to enjoying it. It is an alternative to receiving some nutrients. It's fun, it's different. However, when there isn't much, for me, it isn't enough research and things to like confirm that juicing is the best way. Two, it is very much, in my opinion, a fad, and it's something that's fun and trendy, but um, there's a lot of there are a lot of gaps, especially with what you're juicing, how much your intake. how much you're intaking. Are you really providing a well balanced diet? That's too much, there's too much
Uncertainty.
uncertainty for me to give it 3+ gems.
I agree with that thought process. And it's also like not something I'm always craving. It's
Mhm.
not like you said, there's not enough science, not enough facts, and too expensive. I think there's a lot of cons that is outweighing the pros for me. So I give it 2 as well.
I understand.
Um, so I guess with that, is there anything that what do you think people should know? I guess from these scientific articles, our experiences, what are some things you think people should know about juicing?
I like to give 2 or 3 takeaways. So I'll say, first one, I would recommend viewing juicing as a supplement or alternative to your diet compared to as your primary source
That
of
part,
digestion.
that part.
Um, Second takeaway would be mindful of anything that vegetables are top tier. So remember that ratio, the 2 to 3 vegetables to 1, if you do consider juicing. Um, and 3, stay hydrated. Now with water, not just juicing, but
Yes,
balance the two. So that's
yes,
always a great
yes,
reminder.
yes. Those are great takeaways. 10 out of 10, no notes. That was great. Because you gotta stay hydrated. That's a big part. Even if you haven't one juice, you still need to get that water in. Um,
Speaking of hydration,
Speaking of hydration, I see. Oh, come on, little alley oop. So on the second part of this show, we like to dip into the pop culture a bit. Get off. Oh, geez, she is sweating me. Let's see what I did there. So for the second part, so for the second part of the episode, we're going to talk about sweating, which is, in wellness, everyone has some strong feelings about it. But what I will tell you, Evan, is last week I was on the Twitters, and I
mhm,
found someone that says they got Botox injected into their underarms to stop sweating, and they said it's one of the best money they spent. And
mhm,
as someone that I'm an avid sweater. I
mhm.
I always get confused by saying sweater because sweater. But
Ah,
as someone that sweats a lot, I first of all I didn't know this was a thing. Two, I had to do some research about what sweating is. So I would love to tap your brain because I know you're the resident like thoughts. You got thoughts of what
mhm.
things are, where the science is. And three, I want to talk a little about this Botox. I was confused, but I saw a lot of people agreeing, and then I saw some doctors talking about it as it's very common actually. So, what are your thoughts on sweating? What do you know about sweating? Give us the
Yeah.
tea.
So it's a lot, but let's break it down and let's start with what sweating is.
Okay.
Sweating is a normal, and I say this in the most basic way. Sweating is a normal mechanism and regulatory like regulation of the body to cool it down. So um, I think we're going to add a video in here that kind of explains it on a very detailed level. Not too detailed for everyone, but pretty much, for instance, when you're working out, your body, your muscles are using energy,
Hmm.
but your body tells your mind, your brain is telling your body, hey, let's cool it down a little bit. So it sweats, and heat from your muscle, the energy, the heat that your body emits comes from your muscles working. So um, it uses water to expel from your skin to release some of that heat.
Got it.
That's the
That's the high
process of
level of
yes,
sweat.
that's the
That's how
process
you
of
sweat.
sweating. Yeah. So like the benefit of sweating, the biggest benefit is that it keeps you alive because it regulates your body temperature, especially for our community where we are working out often. So it's common. It's a common thing. Now there are disorders where people sweat more excessively.
Hmm.
Well, let me say this: there are some people who don't sweat, who say, when I work out, I don't
They
sweat.
don't. Yeah.
Um, from what I've read, that's because you're dehydrated.
Mm,
You don't have no water,
mhm.
so you should hydrate. Then there are people who excessively sweat, and there are a number of factors that kind of fall into sweating: age, genetics, fitness level, clothing. hydration levels as well. So there are a lot of factors that go into it, but there are conditions where people sweat excessively, and that kind of leads to this tweet that you're mentioning about where um, there are alternatives to excessive sweating.
Mm.
Like you, I am a profuse sweater, and it is like socially, it is a something that you're conscious about.
Whew.
Whether it's you're out in public, whether you're nervous for a job interview or meeting people, or if you just work out a lot and it takes your body a long time to cool down. It's just
Mm-hmm.
it's a social aspect to sweating as well that I think we in this space, have to consider. So the Botox is one of a few alternatives to what is it? Excessive
To
sweating.
combat it, yeah.
Yeah, as well as more common or easier or less. What's the word? Less.
Invasive, less surgery, more.
Mm, um, they are easier. Let me say that
Got it.
easier to handle. For instance, there are prescription antiperspirants.
Mm-hmm.
Um, a lot of them, most of them use some form of aluminum that clog the pores in your armpits or whatever areas, whether that's your head, your feet, hands. They use products, and depending on how environmentally conscious you are, you may not want to use that. So that's kind of like on the least extreme side, whereas Botox and surgery and different invasive procedures are more on the polar side.
I like that. Yeah. I don't use, so I too gave, or I gave up aluminum uh deodorant a while ago. It took a that summer. I don't know why I did in the summer, but that was a very sweaty summer. But once I got used to it, it got a little better. Um it's actually funny because now that I remember, I always remember at in any race, especially if it's hot, they always say if you stop sweating, like not get help, but like you need water ASAP
Yes.
before you faint. That's always, and every time we race, especially if it's hot, I always make sure to see if I'm sweating or not.
Mhm.
It's always funny because within sweat is a lot of what's Na? Sodium chloride?
Sodium chloride, yeah, in it, yeah.
So it's always funny when you're done running and seeing all the salt marks, especially
Mhm.
for the long race, because all the sweat evaporates and all you see is like salt on your skin.
Yeah.
As especially as a profuse sweater myself.
Mhm.
But yeah, I just thought that the tweet was interesting. I know people agree with it. People do that process. I think it when you do the Botox on the arms, you have to do it every, I think like 6 months. So it's not a once and done thing. You
Wow.
have to actually continue doing it if that's something that you want. Um,
Like for a lifetime?
if
Or
that's something you want, you just continue doing it. I know, or maybe some people do it in the summer. I don't know. That's not, I don't, because I know for me, I do get that sweating is a thing. Like for me, I have to wear dark clothes in the summer. That's my level of sweat, right? Like
Mhm.
I don't do the whites and the yellows because they would turn a different shade of white, yellow, orange. So I'm like, stick to the blacks and the browns, and
That's
and so
honesty.
especially unless there's going to be an excessive AC. Um, but yeah, that's I just thought that was interesting. Thank you for giving us a little bit more deep dive about
Mhm.
sweating. And that's all I got from that. For that, anything else for you?
Uh, one other thing about sweating, yeah.
Tell me about it. Let's talk about
Um,
it.
Remember, this is a regular thing happening. Sweating is a
Yes.
regular thing happening in your body.
Yes.
Again, the primary purpose of sweating is to cool down the body. All that to say, sweating does not necessarily help you lose weight.
Yes. Oh, good point.
Sweating does not help you lose weight. Now, well, let me say this. There have been studies to show that, sweating does release about maybe after moderate exercise of about an hour, you do lose 1 pound, but that's primarily water
Water.
loss. So it's water weight clearly because of the process. But when it comes to, adipose tissue or fat, sweating
It's not
doesn't,
doing
so
much.
yeah, it's not doing much. So that made me think a lot about, sauna suits, or, a lot, or even saunas in general, where, you're forcing people to sweat or you're forcing yourself to sweat. And, oftentimes they have things like sauna suits are marketed as weight loss products. And in actuality, based on the science, it's not, it's just helping you dehydrate essentially
That
quicker. and just to remain hydrated.
That's a really good point because you can literally be in that suit um for however long, sweat it out, but you drink a gallon, a couple of water, and you right back to where
Exactly.
you were before.
Exactly. And
Um,
I didn't know that that's how, sauna suits are marketed, that you wear them
as
for
a
a
weight loss,
day
a
and you
day.
do. Yeah, they say you should wear, if you wear it for, or let me say this, you can wear it during your common household chores,
Ah,
every day. You can wear it, laissez-faire, and you'll, but how much you sweat, it will be equal to you working out.
oh, I thought it was
Right.
because I just remember people always wearing it on the treadmill, and I'm like, that's a lot. That's
I'm speaking to when
people just wear it.
a lot of people do wear it on the saunas, very present day. But when these sauna suits first originated, that's how
Oh,
they marketed them to like a household person.
ooh,
Right,
oh no,
right.
that's marketing.
Well,
Good
there
old
you go. Right.
marketing.
Marketing, very much. But this isn't about marketing.
This is not about marketing.
This
This
is
is
about
we're getting to
marketing.
the science and the
Yes.
facts.
So yeah, there's something else to know about.
Good call. That was a good way to end it. All right. We talked about juicing. We talked about sweating. I got my juice. You had yours earlier. So we're about to bounce. Any last minute thoughts, last minute things you want to talk about? I'm excited that we had this conversation.
Yes. We'll look forward to having everyone
And
listen
next.
in for our next one. In the
Mm-hmm.
meantime, check out the page, and you all should be reading our book for our book club.
Yes, 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 yes. Thank you, Evan, and thank you everyone for listening. And as we like to say, thank you for picking you today. Bye, y'all.